Adara killed her best friend all because of a man, thinking she could go scot-free, but she was about to be faced with a harsh truth. They say true friendship can never be broken, but what happens when a man finally enters the picture and causes destruction? This is the story of Salima and Adara. In the quiet, dusty town of Ezira village, these two girls grew up together. They were exactly like two peas in a pod. If you looked around the village, you could never find Salima without seeing Adara right by her side. They were closer than sisters. Every morning, they went to the stream together to fetch water, their laughter echoing through the trees. They would bathe in the cool rivers, share their deepest secrets, and stroll down the busy village market while holding hands tightly. Their parents would sit back, watch them with pride, and wish their friendship would last long, even till eternity. But as fate would have it, that beautiful wish never came true, and it was all because of a man. The day everything changed started like any other normal day. Salima and Adara were on their way back from the stream, their clay pots balanced perfectly on their heads. They were giggling and whispering to each other when they suddenly stopped in their tracks. Standing right there on the village path was Ben. He was tall, dark, and incredibly handsome. Benedict was the son of the late Chief Okiki. He was based abroad and had come back for his father's burial. Looking like a prince who had just stepped out of a magazine, to the girls in Ezira, he was a rare sight. When Ben looked up and his eyes met Salima's, the spark was instant. It was like magic. He smiled at her, helped her balance her pot, and introduced himself with a deep, gentle voice. Salima fell really hard for him right there on the spot. In no time at all, the handsome heir and the beautiful Salima started a deep, loving relationship. The whole village could see how much Ben adored her. At first, Adara acted like she was happy for her best friend. She would smile and tease Salima about her new handsome lover. But deep down in the dark corners of her heart, that fake happiness suddenly turned to pure hatred. Whenever they were alone, Adara's jealousy would leak out. She would make side comments, warning Salima that Ben was just a city boy who came to the village to fish and prey on innocent-looking girls. She tried to plant seeds of doubt in Salima's head, hoping to ruin the relationship. But Salima was too much in love to listen. Ben was generous. While dating Salima, Adara was not left out. Ben would buy Adara beautiful wrappers and shiny waist beads, treating her well just because she was his lover's best friend. But the gifts only made things worse. Every time Adara tied that wrapper or wore those beads, a dark, wicked thought began to grow in her mind. She didn't just want the gifts, she wanted the man giving them. She wanted Ben. Adara could not accept the fact the handsome, rich heir picked her best friend over her. Every evening, the three of them would sit outside. Salima and Ben would watch the bright village moon together, whispering sweet words and laughing softly under the night sky. But Adara wasn't having it. She would sit nearby, forcing a smile while her heart boiled with pure envy. She wanted Ben. He was the only smart, educated, and handsome man from abroad in that entire village. She felt she needed him for herself, completely ignoring the bond she shared with her best friend. Adara began her secret mission. She did everything just to get his attention. When Salima wasn't looking, Adara would wear the shiny waist beads Ben had bought her, hoping he would notice. She laughed too loudly at his jokes and shot him seductive looks whenever she had the chance. But all her advances did not work. Ben was a good man, and his eyes were completely blind to every other woman. He only saw Salima, completely ignoring Adara's hidden traps. Then came the day that pushed Adara over the edge. Instead of falling for Adara's tricks, Ben did the exact opposite. He got down on one knee in front of Salima's family and proposed to her. Salima cried tears of joy and screamed yes. But the ring wasn't the only thing Ben promised. He held Salima's hands and told her that he would take her away abroad so she could leave the village life behind forever. In a village like Ezira, Going abroad was not just a privilege, it was a must if you needed to make it in life and not be stepped on. It meant wealth, respect, and a life of comfort. Salima was about to have it all. Adara stood in the crowd, clapping her hands, but inside a massive fire was burning. Her best friend was getting the handsome man and the golden ticket abroad. Adara could not let that happen. She simply refused to accept it. That night, the village was dead quiet. Adara could not sleep. She stood outside her small mud hut till 1 a.m., bickering with herself. She paced back and forth in the cold night breeze, thinking desperately of what to do to have Ben all to herself. Then, the dark thought came in. It was sharp and clear. "I need to get rid of her," Adara said to the empty night. A wicked smile crept onto her face. The decision was made. Adara turned around, went back inside her hut, and peacefully went to bed, ready for the next morning. The morning sun rose over Ezira village, completely unaware of the evil that had been planned in the dark. It was a beautiful, bubbly day. There was excitement in the air because later that afternoon, Ben was bringing his people over to Salima's house for their official introduction. Early that morning, Adara walked over to Salima's compound with a warm smile. She invited Salima to the stream to fetch water as usual, acting like the perfect maid of honor. Salima happily agreed, carrying her clay pot. As they walked down the familiar bushy path to the river, they chatted and laughed. Salima's heart was full of joy. She held Adara's hand and praised her for being such a supportive best friend. She even promised that once she married Ben, she couldn't wait to travel abroad and take Adara right along with her. Salima thought they would be friends till eternity, but she didn't know Adara had other deadly plans. When they got to the stream, the water was calm and quiet. Adara stood back and watched as Salima bent down to fetch the water into her clay pot. This was the moment. Adara's eyes turned cold. She silently sneaked behind her best friend, picking up a heavy wooden stick she had spotted earlier. Without a single drop of mercy, she raised it high and struck Salima hard on the back of her head. Salima let out a piercing scream, dropping her clay pot, and then everything went pitch black. She fell into the shallow water, lifeless. Adara did not panic. She hurriedly went to the nearby bushes and brought out a spade she had kept hidden the night before. Sweating but determined, she started digging a shallow grave right there by the riverbank. After she was done, she dragged her best friend's body in, covered it with sand and dry leaves, dusted her hands and walked away with a wicked smile. Hours later, back at Salima's compound, chaos started. Everyone was worried. "Where is Salima?" her mother asked, pacing back and forth. Ben and his elders had already arrived in their fine clothes, ready for the introduction, but the bride was missing. Adara rushed over to Salima's house, acting out her part perfectly. She threw herself on the ground, acting like a caring best friend who was confused and terrified. When no one saw Salima, everyone grew deeply worried. The entire village formed a search party. They combed the bushes and the river banks. Adara cried the loudest. She rolled on the dirt, staining her clothes, begging everyone to please help her look for her best friend. Ben was grieving heavily, his heart completely broken. After searching till nightfall, the village elders shook their heads. The whole village thought maybe wild animals had taken her on her way back from the stream, or something worse had happened. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Salima was nowhere to be found. And just like that, Adara's path to Ben was finally clear. Adara did not waste time. With Salima out of the way, she stepped right into her best friend's shoes. Every evening, she would cook delicious meals and take them over to Ben's house, claiming she just wanted to help him cope and heal from the terrible loss. But she wasn't just bringing food. Adara made sure to wear her most revealing wrappers and the seductive waist beads that jingled with every step she took. She played the role of the comforting shoulder to cry on, and in no time, her wicked plans worked. Ben, vulnerable, confused, and heartbroken, finally gave in to her constant advances. They slept together. It didn't take long for Adara to get pregnant. When the news broke out, the whole of Ezira village was in absolute shock. People would point and whisper loudly whenever Adara walked by the market square. They called her a bad friend and an evil monster. She couldn't even wait for her best friend to be found, one angry woman spat as Adara walked past. She went and spread her legs for her best friend's husband-to-be. But Adara did not care at all. She rubbed her belly with a proud smile. She finally had the man she always wanted, and her biggest rival was buried under the dirt. What she did not know was that her own destruction was slowly brewing inside her. Because she was carrying his child, in Ezira village it was a taboo for a pregnant woman to perform marriage ceremonies until she had put to bed. Adara moved into Ben's house, eagerly waiting for the day he would finish sorting out his late father's estate so they could pack their bags and travel abroad. But that dream never happened. 1 month turned into 7 months, and 7 months turned into 9 months. Soon it was already 1 year and 8 months, but Adara was still heavily pregnant. Her belly was huge and protruding, looking like it was about to burst. But the baby completely refused to come out. Panic set in. Adara drank bitter roots, strong local herbs, and even expensive English medicine, hoping to force herself into labor, but it yielded no effort. In the Ezira community, it was a known fact: only an evil woman or someone who has committed a grave sin suffers a pregnancy like this. Ben's family started complaining and asking serious questions. They gathered in the compound and pressured Adara to speak the truth so she could be free. But Adara cried, swearing she was completely innocent. She pointed fingers, claiming that jealous women in the village were the ones after her life. The pregnancy dragged on from 1 year to 2 whole years. The once beautiful Adara was now withering away, looking like a walking shadow carrying a heavy stone. From 1 year to 2 years, Adara was withering away. Her body was weak and her huge belly looked like a heavy cast she could not drop. Then, the terrifying nightmares started. Every time Adara closed her eyes, the dark room would turn ice cold. In her dreams, she would see Salima standing by the stream. But Salima was not alone. She was holding a newborn baby, and her beautiful wrapper was heavily stained with dark blood. Adara would run and chase them down the village path, screaming at the top of her lungs, "Hand me my baby! Please, give me my baby!" But the dead woman would only turn around with empty eyes, her voice echoing like thunder. "Confess, Adara! Confess!" Adara would wake up violently, screaming and completely drenched in cold sweat. This torment continued night after night. The anniversary of Salima's disappearance was approaching. On that cursed day, the truth was finally revealed. Heavily pregnant and looking like a wild animal, Adara suddenly ran out of her house and rushed straight to the busy Ezira market square. She threw herself onto the dusty ground, knelt down, and started confessing everything in front of the whole village. She was vomiting out words, crying as she explained exactly how she struck her best friend with a wooden stick and buried her in a shallow grave by the river just to steal her man. The whole market came to a dead stop. The villagers were in total shock. Gasps filled the air, and elders quickly pulled their children away from the evil woman. After confessing right there and then, a loud splash was heard. Her water finally broke. The shocked market women cautiously surrounded her, and right there in the dirt, Adara finally put to bed. But her relief did not last for even a second. Instead of a baby, she pushed out wet sand, heavy stones, and dry leaves, the exact things she used to bury Salima. Immediately after, a sharp, blinding pain struck the center of Adara's head. She gripped her head tightly, and slowly, a terrifying sound came from her throat. She began to laugh uncontrollably. Her eyes rolled back, and right there in the market square, Adara ran completely mad. The terrible news spread like wildfire and quickly reached her family at home, and eventually Ben. When Ben heard what the woman he married had done to his true love, he was shattered. He could not take the heavy disgrace. Without looking back, he packed his bags and abandoned the village, swearing he did not want to be entangled with such a wicked and evil family ever again. Till today, if you go to Ezira village, you will see a mad woman with a protruding belly, laughing and roaming the dirty streets. That is Adara. As for Salima, the village men went to the stream and dug up her bones. Her heartbroken parents finally had peace, knowing the truth, and they gave their beloved daughter a proper, fruitful burial. She finally rested.